At this stage, we are now ready to build our template. So we've added a source block, we've added a build block, and we've added all of the provisioners that we need, and also the accommodating files that we use to customize our image. So we're ready to build our templates, and that's what we're going to do next. So let's now go to the terminal here, and there's a few things that we need to do. So if you remember, Packer needs to authenticate on our behalf with AWS. So we need to give the AWS access key and the AWS secret access key. So the way in which we do this for Packer is pretty much the same way we did it for Terraform. So we're going to export these two keys, and then Packer will find these and then use these to authenticate on our behalf. And that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to stick in my access key first. So I'm going to export it. And then I'm also going to do the same thing for the secret access key. So obviously I will be deleting these secret access keys because obviously they can be seen, but you need to make sure that nobody can actually see your access key or your secret access key. And these are meant to be kept secret, and they're very sensitive data, because if somebody gets hold of these, then that means they can deploy things to the cloud under your account. So it's really important that you don't commit these to version control, and you don't expose these in any way. So it's really important that you do that. But obviously I'm showing this to you right now, just for learning purposes. And obviously I will make sure to delete this particular user associated with these keys here. So we've added the environment variables for the AWS credentials. And now we're going to add the environment variables for the Docker username and the Docker password. So to enter that, what we need to do is we're going to put in the PKR as the first part. So we're going to prepend that with PKR_var_Docker. And if you remember, the way we did it with Terraform is slightly different. So it was TF. This one is PKR. So it's slightly different for Packer. So Packer will look for these environment variables and it will use these as part of the build process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my username here. And then I'm going to add the password for Docker as well here. So I'm just going to delete that there. And I'm going to put an equals. In fact, what I've realized is that we've made a mistake with the previous one. So what we need to do is we need to export that out. So I'm just going to copy this here. And I'm going to put export, and then we're going to export out the actual environment variable. So it's very important that we export the environment variable. So that's the username. And we're going to do the same thing for the Docker environment variable as well. So I'm just going to copy that onto my clipboard and update this here. So Docker password is going to go in here. And I'm simply going to enter my password. And I'm going to hit return there. So just to make sure I've got that in the environment variables here. So I have my AWS access key and AWS secret access key, and I also have the environment variables for the Docker username and the Docker password. So we have all the things that Packer needs in order to authenticate on our behalf, and also to pass through the Docker credentials into the script when it's running it. So I'm just going to clear the screen, and next, what we're going to do is we're going to run the Packer build itself. So we're just going to do a list here quickly, just to make sure that we have the image.packer.hcl file. So just to make sure we have the file that we want to run. And we also have all of the other files that we need. So the daemon.json, moving that daemon.json as a bash script, the setup script, and we also have the public SSH key that we generated earlier on. So it looks like we have everything that we need. So we're going to run this. So we're going to run it with Packer. And then we're going to run it with the build keyword, and then we're going to run our image. So we've called it image.packer.hcl. So I'm just going to hit return. And it looks like we have an error here. So it's saying that no AMIs were found matching the filters that we specify. So if you remember, we specified an AMI filter. So we didn't actually add a source AMI that we wanted to use in particular, but we wanted to filter through the available AMIs using the product ID key, if you remember. So what we're going to do is going to go back into our config, and we're going to update the value here. So it looks like there's a problem here with the name filter that we're using, and we're going to do that in the next step.